in that State of Duty period, there was like Obama was saying we're going to deport people, and Clinton's was saying we're going to deport everyone. Then there was this sort of 10-year period of like anyone who mentions immigration or those things is now a bigot. But is it sort of changing the last year or so?
Yeah, and that's a really strange thing to see. Is so Elon kind of came along and blew the roof off. So
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see, for your viewing and listening pleasure, I have a new interview with Katie Hopkins on a channel which I have never seen before, Andrew Gold, Heretics. And this is a long interview, so I'm just going to comment on a few minutes of it as usual. But as usual, with Katie Hopkins, I pretty much 100% agree with everything she says. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Katie Hopkins. I think she is not only correct, but she has bravely spoken out over the years about, key issues of the day, and she has suffered for it greatly. She has paid the price, but she is coming back now, and in particular, thanks to Elon Musk, who reinstated her on X. So let's get into this interview with Katie Hopkins and see what they have to say.
Maybe reassessed for in recent years, and I think you're alluding to that. I know Tommy Robinson has been a little bit reassessed in recent years, is the issue with Islam in this country, that 10, 15 years. It's weird, actually. 15 years ago, Stacey Dooley was able to make a BBC documentary that everybody's forgotten about, where she went around her town going, look at all the Muslims. I can't believe it's a Muslim. And the Muslims going, you're dressed not well. You look like a slut. You called me that. That was going on. And now the BBC, not in a million. Then there was like a 10-year period of no. But back in that State of Duty period, there was like Obama was saying we're going to deport people, and Clinton's was saying we're going to deport everyone. Then there was this sort of 10-year period of like anyone who mentions immigration or those things is now a bigot. But is it sort of changing the last year or so?
yeah, and that's a really strange thing to see. Is so Elon kind of came along and blew the roof off. So he kind of got a hand grenade and threw it into the pot, and it just detonated and just took the lid off everything and made it so that you could say this, oh my gosh. And all of a sudden, very typically, everybody and their son was out there saying, well, I was the one that was calling this out. I was the one. And you're like, were you? I didn't see you. And I'm producing headlines from 2014 where, The Guardian, Katie Hopkins arrested for suggesting grooming gangs on majority Pakistani Muslim men. Simon Danstuck, cuck, whatever, reporting me to Manchester police, me being arrested for saying it's majority Pakistani Muslim men who are part of these grooming gangs. Me being arrested for even tweeting that.
Imagine being arrested for simply telling the truth, for simply stating facts. And yeah, this is a clear indication of the absolute state that the UK finds itself in these days. It's been getting worse and worse. They do not have freedom of speech as we understand it in the United States. Same where I live, as you know. I live in Belgium. It's the exact same thing here compared to the UK. There's many things you cannot say in public, right? And certainly not, on a big platform like Twitter or on TV. Not only will you just be taken down by the sort of the woke types, but there are plenty of illegal things you literally cannot say. I think it's the same in most Western European countries compared to the United States. United States, it's pretty much a free-for-all. There are some, as we know, there are some limits on speech, which I agree with. This is, this whole concept of hate speech. Like the concept of hate speech as a legal concept does not exist in the United States, as far as I know. Please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But as I understand it, there is no such thing as hate speech. There's either speech you can say, free speech, or speech you can't. Types of speech you can't, which in the United States is typically threatening a specific person with imminent violence, or calling for imminent violence against a specific person. Okay, like calling, yeah, that's basically what it comes down to, as I understand it. But not where I live, not here in Belgium, not here in Western Europe, and certainly not in the UK. Not that I would want to threaten people, but you should be able to state facts, shouldn't you? All these European countries have these laws against stirring up racial animosity or stirring up, hatred against other communities living in the country. Yeah, well, that's a problem, because when those communities get bigger and bigger, this is what happens. You get they as they take, eventually, if things keep going like the way they're going now, they will have power.
Years ago, and now look at it. You know, you cannot get enough boys coming out saying, I was the one calling this out, and so that's a glorious thing, because people are speaking out. It's
Vindicated.
a decade, well, it doesn't really matter for me, but a decade later suddenly people are speaking. And personally, of course, for me, Elon Musk, you know, did me a tremendous favor. So Rachel Riley, the Muslim Council of Britain, and the Centre for Countering Digital Hate Online, those three organisations walked into Twitter HQ, as it was, and had my account removed. And Elon Musk reinstated me and Tommy on the same day, Guy Fawkes Day. And that was, that was quite a moment for me, because that was blowing the lid off my world and saying that I'm now allowed to breathe again. And so it's proven to be true.
Gosh, what does it feel like when you're getting investigated by police? And were you arrested?
I've been arrested multiple times. I was arrested.
Hands in cuffs kind of thing.
They don't go for that. But there's things you learn about police and police approaching on your home or your life or your well-being or your family's well-being. The first time was a column in The Sun, which would be easy to find, but 2014, and it was Stop the Boats. 10 years ago. I mean, who would have thought that 10 years later we'd still be saying the same thing? Stop the boats. And I said I'd use gunships to stop the boats. And what I meant by that was I would send the military to the channel. I would form a military barricade, if you will. And it was show me pictures of bodies floating in the water, show me children drowning, show me this. I have no sympathy. I would send the boats. And I would still believe that to this day. My first thing I would do is send the military to the channel. So
bit of sympathy for children drowning.
Well, more anger at the child traffickers, the human traffickers that decide to put children into boats. I mean, it's disgusting. The onus doesn't really sit on me. It sits on the person that put them in a boat, and it sits on the charities that funded them to put them in the boat. And
yeah, very good point there. It's not just, people think that, how did all these migrants, these fake refugees and fake asylum seekers, how did they get to the point where they can cross the channel in a rubber dinghy, from France to England? Well, they came up through Africa, through whatever country in Africa, through Spain, through France. They get to the north of France, to Calais. I've seen encampments. I've literally seen with my own eyes encampments there. The police know where they are. And then a boat is provided, and all this is provided, yes, by human smugglers, but also by NGOs and these charities. A lot of them run by, say, the Lutheran Church. There's also like the HIAS, Hebrew International Aid Society, something like that, which is some Jewish organization. There's Catholic Family Services. All these churches are facilitating human smuggling, human trafficking, including of children, including of unaccompanied children. So it's absolutely outrageous. And no, we have to stop it. It's not our problem.
It sits on heads of religious organisations that also traffic human flesh, but best not go there. But my point rather being, I wrote a column in The Sun that said stop the boats. I'd use gunships to stop the boats. That was my first big foray into the world of being arrested. So Major Crime and Homicide Command, the Metropolitan Police, arrested, interviewed under caution, my case sent to the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, to see if they could prosecute me. The head of the UN Human Rights Organization saying that I was responsible for racism in Western Europe. I mean, it was very serious. And this kind of has gone away because it was 2014 and I was just me. A kind of columnist who was on The Apprentice, suddenly in a police station with two officers answering for a column that I wrote. And it was one of those, I mean, many of your viewers won't even know, but at the time when you had to press play and record at the same time on a tape recorder, this is probably not something you relate to either. There used to be a thing called cassette recorders, and to get it to record, you had to do play and record at the same time. That was in the police station to record my interview for a column in The Sun. I mean, That's crazy.
Yeah, that is great. And then who do you arrest as well? Because then you have to arrest the editors. And
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing. No, the culpability sits with the columnist, even though you've gone through all of the layers of legal and editors.
Well, like Katie Hopkins, I'm definitely old enough to remember those kinds of tape recorders where you had to press play and record. Absolutely. Grew up with that. But anyway, I'm always happy to just see Katie Hopkins getting more exposure. Like I said, for me, this is a new channel. He seems to be doing well. He's got 342,000 subscribers. Excuse me, got something in my throat. So yeah, I'm happy to see Katie Hopkins getting more exposure. She's got a YouTube channel. She's being interviewed. She's been replatformed on X, thank goodness. So regardless of what you think of Elon, at least he has done that. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. There is a lot of work to be done. I mean, yeah, Elon and Trump are making some progress right now. It's like the end of the third week of Trump's second term, and he is shaking things up massively in the United States. But there will be a lot of work still to do there, and loads of work to do here in Europe. So I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.